Today we're going to continue talking about systems of equations, and this time we are going to use those systems of equations to solve some word problems, some practical problems, whatever you want to call them. So we can solve them whichever way we'd like. So if you like to graph that better, then you can do that. If you like to do the substitution method, you can do that. But the first thing is we need to write these system of equations based on the information we're given. So here we're talking about two people who are selling pies, and they're selling two types of pies, cherry pies and blackberry pies. And so one thing I want to advise you to do is sort of skip to the end of the question. And that's going to give us some information on how to start. We need to have an X and a Y in this scenario, and so we need to decide which is which. So we're looking to find out the cost of a cherry pie, and then we're also looking to find out the cost of a blackberry pie. So those are the two things we're missing, the cost of a cherry pie and the cost of a blackberry pie. So I'm going to say X, and I'll say X equals the cost of a cherry pie. And then I'm going to say then that Y equals the cost of a blueberry pie. It's important that we stick with X's and Y's, especially if we want to use the calculator. If we want to use the calculator, this is incredibly important. If you want to do the substitution method, you can use C for cherry and B for blackberry. But my guess is most people like the graphing method better, so we need to use X and Y so that the calculator will recognize our letters and graph them for us. And so we want to end up figuring out the cost of these two things. When we have two letters or two variables that we want to know, we're going to have two equations, and that's what we have when we have a system of equations. System of equations, again, is just two lines. And so we have Jacob, and Jacob sold two cherry pies and three blackberry pies, and he made $65. So we're going to set up an equation that shows the money that Jacob made. So he has two cherry pies, and to get the cost or the amount of money he makes on the cherry pies, we're going to take the number of cherry pies, 2, and multiply by X, the cost of that cherry pie. This word and tells us to add 3 blackberry pies. So we're going to find out how much he made off of that, we're going to do 3 times Y, the cost of the blackberry pie. And then when you put those two things together, it should make $65, the amount he made. And then we can go ahead and do the same thing for Shanice. She sold also 2 cherry pies, so 2 times the cost of cherry, and plus 11 blackberry pies, 11 pies times the cost of a pie, and that earned her $169. And so now we have a system of equations, 2 equations that we can solve. And when we solve this, what we're looking for again is where do they cross? And so I'm going to put these into Desmos. You should do the same. Put these 2 equations into Desmos, and then we will talk about the solution. So I just want to point out that when I graph these, I don't see those lines right away. So I can hit this minus button. I can zoom out a bit, and there I go. I see them. And so remember, a solution is simply where do these 2 lines cross? And they cross right there at that point, 13, 13. So I'm going to grab that and copy it down. It's important to know what those numbers mean. Our first number is X, and our second number is Y. And the thing that we did here at the beginning is we defined what does X and Y mean. And so we now know how much each of these things cost. They both cost the same, actually. X, the cost of my cherry pie, is $13. Y, the cost of my blackberry pie, is also $13. That's what we were asked to find, and that's what we found by using this system of equations. So let me try another one. It might be a great idea to pause right here and read through this real quick before I go ahead and discuss it. So just like I did in the last one, I'm going to skip to the end so that I can figure out where I'm going. I want to find out how many students can go in a van and how many students can go in a bus. So let us define some variables. Let's have x be the number. I'm gonna use some bad English, bad grammar here just to make our life easier. Number students van and number students bus. So that's those two letters are going to represent how many students are carried by a van and the number of students that are carried by a bus. And so now we can go back and look at the question. We have two high schools going to a field trip. They both take vans and buses, and we want to know how many students go in a van and how many go in a bus. So high school A, they took 12 vans. So we have 12 vans. We're going to multiply by the number of students in a van. And then they took 9 buses. I'm going to take my 9 buses and multiply by the number of students in a bus. And that should get me the total number of students that went from high school A, which is 420. I could do the same thing for high school B. They had 12 vans and 5 buses. So this 12x gets us the number of students that came by van. 5y gives us the number of students that came by bus. And when we add them together, we get the total number of students who went on the field trip from high school B, which is 308. And again, now we have 2 equations. We can solve whichever way you'd like. I recommend graphing. So pause this here, go to Desmos, and graph these 2 lines. And again, I can't see right away where these 2 lines are crossing, so I can move my graph a bit. And then if I click them there and I click that button, oops, did I enter something wrong? I did enter something wrong. So I got these decimals, this decimal here, and that made me confused. We can't have a fraction of a student. And so I look over here and I type that in wrong. So it's always good to double check. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to find the place where I crossed. So if you did this correctly, like I didn't, you might have found this sooner. There we go. We have a nice integer answer, 1428. So I'll copy that down. And of course, my x is my first number and my y is my second number. That's the way it works for coordinates. And so we said x was the number of students in a van. So that means a van can hold 14 students. And we said that y was the number of students in a bus. That means a bus can hold 28 students. And that's what we were asked for when we started. We went to the end and figured out what we were going to be asked for. That's what we were asked for. Now we have our answer. So I want you to try this one on your own. There's going to be a box that pops up, asks you for your answer. I will probably do 2 boxes here and ask you for both answers since you're looking for 2 answers. And then once you answer the question, submit your answers and press play on the video, I will go over the answer with you so you can check to see how you did. If you didn't get them both right or you didn't get one of them right, please do ask for help. If you are confused at all throughout this, please ask for help. So hopefully you got the cost of a daylily to be $4 and the cost of a shrub to be $11. If you didn't get one or both of those, please do ask for help. I'm glad to help you so that we can sort out any issues, fix any misconceptions before it is too late. So as we have done, I have 4 of these for you to try, not 8. This time I only have 4, so here are 2 of them. Make sure you put in both answers. And here are the last 2. Make sure you put in both answers for each of them. If you have any questions while you're working on any of these, I hope you did, or I hope you will ask for help. I'm glad to help. Take your time. Good luck.